The senator was very nice. He just gave us his pair of glasses, and even though we have a 10-minute interview, let us run outside and catch the eclipse. That was very nice of you, Senator Cruz.
Well, maybe on the back end the clouds will clear.
Yeah, they were just covering it up, so the clouds did not do their part. We're going to wait for Jason for a few seconds. So you did get to see it. What did you think? Have you seen one in your lifetime?
1979.
1979.
Just, actually, do me a favor, move over this way a little bit just so you're in line with the lens.
Is that better?
Yeah. That's good, thank you. Okay, whenever you gentlemen and lady are ready.
Okay, I think we're all set up here, but that's secondary, so. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to dig into some kind of deeper topics after we go through the initial. I do want to just talk to you about the eclipse. It's on everybody's mind. So tell us where you saw it, how you saw it, and what you thought.
Well, it was very cool. So I was in San Antonio today for the eclipse and was speaking to the San Antonio Chamber of Commerce. And it was funny. It was one of the odd times where they asked, okay, you need to keep your remarks really slow. Really quick, rather. You need to be done fast because 1:15 we're headed upstairs. So we all went up to the roof and watched the eclipse from the top.
That's pretty fascinating.
And it was, you know, the chamber had those these cool NASA glasses.
Yes, those are perfect.
Which are impossible to find.
Mm-hmm.
So I had given up on them. I had yesterday my mom call like 30 places in Houston trying to find, okay, where are the eclipse glasses? They were all sold out. So we couldn't find them. So I got to watch it with the NASA chamber, with the San Antonio chamber.
Mm-hmm.
But then actually just a couple of minutes ago, I just got off the phone with my girls. So Caroline and Catherine are both in Houston. They're at home. They start school on Wednesday. So I called them. I said, all right, are you watching the eclipse? And Caroline, the 9-year-old, she's like, no, Dad, that's boring. We're not in the middle of the eclipse. It's just part of it. And I was like, all right, go downstairs right now. And they went and got paper plates and did the pinhole projector where they both push it out. I had to kind of twist their arms to get them to do that. So they went out in the backyard and set it up, and the pinhole projector works awesome. And then both girls thought it was totally cool. You had to. So they just finished like watching the pinhole projector, and then Catherine, the 6-year-old, is pretty funny. She proceeded, if one was cool, she made 11 holes. And so then she had 11 eclipses that she was watching all at the same time. So that was fun, and it's, you know, it's a neat thing that ties us together. I mean, I remember 1979 when we had an eclipse, and I was 8 years old. You know, Caroline and Catherine are 9 and 6, and I remember as a kid going and doing the pinhole projector. And it's a neat moment that, you know, 30, 40, 50 years ago, kids will remember.
Sure.
And so it's a very fun thing.
And she got 11 eclipses. Most people only caught one. So that was a pretty brilliant thing.
Well, there you go. She's way ahead of all of us.
Sure.
I think on that projection, that means she's 142.
Right. Well, we do have to wait until 2024 until we get to see our next one. But you mentioned an important point, too. It's something that brings us all together. And right now, you are in one of the most divisive places probably in the world. And, you know, that is obviously subject for argument. But there are a lot of tough topics on your plate, and so I just want to kind of bring those home right now and talk with you about those. Why don't we just start with the juggernaut of all of them, which is North Korea. A lot of people concerned about what that means for us here in America.
Well, listen, North Korea, I think is the most dangerous place on the face of the earth. Kim Jong-un, who is the dictator, the guy's nuts. He is unstable. He is crazy, and he's got an arsenal of nuclear weapons, and it is very dangerous, very disturbing. I've been urging really a comprehensive strategy to rein in North Korea that involves a number of things. Number one, it involves anti-ballistic missile technology, deploying THAAD missile interceptors using both ground-based and air-based and in time space-based interceptors. Because when you've got rogue states capable of delivering nuclear weapons, you need the technology to take them out before they can murder millions. And doing that in combination with using diplomatic and economic pressure, in particular, cutting off and sanctioning any firms that do business with North Korea that want to have access to the U.S. financial markets, that you can't do both. That can put real pressure on Kim Jong-un. And then finally, using China. You know, China has disproportionate influence with North Korea. And pressuring China to rein in the aggressiveness of North Korea. I think that's something that the President and the administration have made some positive progress on, but we need to do a lot more.
So in looking at that, you know, there are a lot of people who made promises after World War II and what happened in Nazi Germany, and they said we would never watch such atrocities happen again. But we know that Kim Jong-un and there in North Korea, many of their own people have been killed.
Yes.
But there's also the factor of, do we engage? Do we go in there to help the people, or do we kind of step back from all of that? And I know we're talking about what our action should be to keep America safe.
Yeah.
But people say that we should maintain this peacefulness and just not engage with them. But how do we sit aside and let that happen?
Well, one of the real threats is that North Korea is not going to let us disengage. Kim Jong-un's intentions are hostile. You remember a couple of years ago, he listed 3 U.S. cities that he was targeting, including Austin, Texas. I mean, he actually specified Austin as one of the places. He's actively developing ICBM technology, miniaturization technology, to be able to take a nuclear weapon and carry it to the United States. And I will say, when you meet with senior military leaders and you talk about what could happen in North Korea, things can escalate there very quickly. In a matter of hours or days, you could be looking at tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of casualties. We've got about 30,000 troops, U.S. troops right there, so they could be right in the middle of that, not to mention the South Koreans and the Japanese, both of whom are very much in harm's way.
For those who say just do nothing, you're saying actually that's not enough because he's probably going to act.
He is too dangerous to do nothing. And the fact that we're where we are really reflects a failure of U.S. policy. I mean, it's worth pausing to reflect. How did we get to a place where this nutcase has nuclear weapons? And the answer is, you have to go back to the Clinton administration when Bill Clinton was president. The Clinton administration led the world in relaxing sanctions towards North Korea. And they did so in response to a promise from Kim Jong-il, who was Kim Jong-un's father, who said, if you give me the money, I won't develop nukes. And Kim Jong-il promptly took the billions of dollars and used it to develop nuclear weapons. And now his son is sitting there with a nuclear arsenal. Now, the reason that lesson is so important is because the lead negotiator of that failed North Korea deal was a woman named Wendy Sherman. That's who the Clinton administration used. Fast forward to present day, the Obama administration recruited Wendy Sherman back into government, the same person, to negotiate the Iran deal. They literally found the only person on the face of the planet who had messed this up before, and they negotiated the same foolish deal with Iran. They gave billions of dollars to the Ayatollah Khamenei in exchange for the same empty promise Kim Jong-il had given not to develop nuclear weapons. And I think as dangerous as North Korea is, if Iran ever gets nuclear weapons, it will be orders of magnitude more dangerous, because when you've got craziness combined with religious zealotry and hatred, a religious death cult that embraces death and murder and suicide, we've got to do everything humanly possible to stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons, because if we don't, the result could be quite literally the murder of millions.
Well, when you speak about these international issues that are so pressing for us right now, it seems like there's a not only seems, we are seeing it on TV play out, this resurgence of something that happened in the 1960s. And obviously, President Trump has come under fire for his statements, and other people in America have come under fire for their statements. What are your thoughts on Antifa, which is the far leftist organization that's rising up, and also the white supremacists that are rising up? How do we diffuse this here in America?
Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of division. And I think everyone just needs to take a chill pill, just to relax a little bit. And the venom and nastiness and hatred, just let it go. You know, the past couple of weeks have been difficult weeks. I mean, you look at what happened in Charlottesville. That was ugly. That was really, really ugly. Seeing Nazis and Klansmen spewing bigotry and racism and hatred and evil, seeing, you know, we saw a domestic act of terrorism as this one white supremacist drove a car into a crowd, murdering an innocent woman. That's bad, bad stuff. Now, I'm very grateful. I'm glad the Department of Justice heeded my call and the call of a number of others to open an investigation into domestic terrorism. Nobody has a right to engage in violence. We all have a right to speak. Even people who are bigoted and evil under the First Amendment, they have a right to express their views. We have a moral obligation to counter it, but they have a right to express it if they express it peaceably.
And what about Antifa on the far left? You know, we've seen it get violent for them.
Yes.
What sort of things do we put in place as well for them?
The same principles apply across the board, whether you're on the left or the right. The First Amendment gives you the right to speak peaceably, but it doesn't give you the right to engage in violence, to engage in assault, to engage in murder. You know, we saw in Texas at a Black Lives Matter protest where another domestic terrorist murdered 5 Dallas police officers. That was wrong and grotesque and horrible and driven from bigotry and hatred. And bigotry and hatred and murder, they're wrong wherever it comes on the political spectrum, whether it's left or right or wherever it's coming from. Nobody has a right to engage in murder. So you see Antifa, you see all of these different groups. If they're engaging in violence, they need to be stopped. They need to be prosecuted. We should not be allowing people to engage in domestic terror, and that applies across the political spectrum.
Moving on to healthcare, that's been another frustrating topic, something that I think a lot of people are losing hope on. Is it going to be reformed, or if it gets reformed, what does that mean for me? For you, you recently said that we just need 4 or 5 more votes for it to be approved in the Senate. Where does that stand, and could this actually happen?
I believe yes, and failure is not an option. You know, listen, the past few weeks were tough. They were disappointing. We had a vote that came 1 vote short in the Senate. And a lot of folks in the media celebrated, okay, Obamacare repeal, it's done. I think that was premature. I think we're actually a lot closer than many observers think. And in my view, listen, for 7 years, the central promise Republicans have made is if you elect us, we're going to repeal Obamacare. Why? It's the biggest job killer in the country. It's killing small businesses. It's forced millions of Americans out of work. It's forced millions of Americans into part-time jobs. It's caused them to lose their health insurance, to lose their doctors, and it's caused their premiums to skyrocket. You know, what I hear as I travel Texas, every day I hear from Texans who say, I can't afford health insurance. I can't afford to take care of my family. The federal government caused that problem through Obamacare. We need to fix it. And I think we can. I think we're probably at 45, 46 votes in the Senate. We need 50. We're not there yet. But I believe we can get there, and the key to getting there is focusing like a laser on lowering premiums and making health insurance more affordable.
So I have so many things I'd love to ask you, but I'm going to just get to a few other quick comments here. I know Beto O'Rourke has mentioned he's running against you in the next Senate campaign. What are your thoughts on that?
Listen, I think every elected official owes it to the men and women he represents to make the case as to why you should be elected, why you should continue to be in the job. And my approach from day one, it was about 5 years ago that I was elected. And every day I've been in the Senate, my job has been to fight for 28 million Texans, to fight for jobs, to fight for economic growth, to fight for our constitutional rights and the Bill of Rights. And that is what I've done every day. It's what I intend to continue doing. You know, I'm barnstorming the state of Texas, which I've done throughout my time in the Senate, traveling from community to community, visiting small businesses, visiting community leaders, listening to Texans, holding town halls. We held a town hall in New Braunfels this morning. We're doing gatherings, just listening to Texans. And the message from Texans is the same. The #1 priority for Texans is jobs and economic growth. If you ask me what my focus is, it's one word: jobs, jobs, jobs. Because Texans everywhere in the state, we want more jobs, we want better opportunities, we want higher wages, and the way you get them, see, one of the things Texans get, we know how to get jobs. It's not just empty words. The way you get jobs is through tax reform and regulatory reform. You lift the burden of Washington off of small businesses and farmers and ranchers and job creators, and you let places like the small business we're at right here create more jobs and opportunities right here in San Antonio.
And that's what you're doing here at this business today.
Yes.
You're taking a tour of it.
Exactly, meeting with the employees, meeting with the leadership, listening to their concerns. That's one of the things I try to spend a lot of time doing, is listening to Texans and then providing a voice for Texans. We want jobs, we want freedom.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Senator Cruz.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Now we're going to follow you
Can we
around.
have 10 seconds to get a quick 2-shot, and then we'll be done with it?
Okay. Perfect. So now we're going to follow Senator Cruz around Division Laundry and Cleaners, which is where we are right now. So
excellent.
I appreciate it. We may have gone a little over the 10 minutes. So
that's all right.
But when people get your time, they have a lot of questions for you.
So look, you can go back and tell your producer you took me to the cleaners.
That's a pretty good joke. We don't get to see that sense of humor on television very much. So very good. So I guess you're going to be seeing all the different functions today of what's happening.
Yeah, which should be fun. Should be interesting.
Yeah, and then what's later today for you?
We're just continuing on the road. We're going to be down in Laredo and then McAllen and going through the valley and just all across Texas.
And you were in Amarillo earlier.
We were in Amarillo. Correct? We were in Lubbock. We were in Tyler. We were in Dallas. We were in Katy.
Do you sleep?
We're headed to El Paso. It's a big state.
Sure. Yeah, I imagine it's very tough to balance it at times.
It's fun though. I mean, the state is so diverse that I mean it's interesting to go around and just get the chance to hear from Texans all over the state.
And we only have 2 senators, so you and Cornyn have to split quite a bit of land.
Yeah, you got a lot of territory to
cover. So I think we're good, right, Jason?
Yes,
Okay, you are free.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator. I appreciate it.